मैंने आकाश को लपेटा है. Actually, to give the due credit, producers actually found him and they shared his work with me and they were like, what if this guy directs it? And I saw his work and I was like, I think this is exactly the kind of new age-ness that we want in the film. That might be like a big eureka moment if we get him. So and we are glad that he said yes, because कई बारी होता है ना, you have a certain vision of starting your direction in films, the kind of film that you want to direct as your first film with, right? So every director comes with like, he's a pretty successful name in ad world, but there might be a certain way he would want to start with his film journey. So we are glad that he was okay to do this. That's why it looks new, because it was in the hands of someone who has a very new style compared to what you would have seen.
Hi guys, this is Ankita. You're tuned into PeepingMoons.com, and now once again, Taapsee Pannu is making sure कि हम उन्हीं के पीछे भागे. But इस बारी ताहिर को साथ लेके भाग रही हैं वो, कि कैसे भाग रही हैं?
उसके पीछे उसकी वजह से
मैं सस्पेंस ब्रेक कर रही, मैं सस्पेंस ब्रेक करके कुछ नहीं बता रही हूँ. But welcome the team of Looop Lapeta, Taapsee Pannu, Tahir Raj Bhasin, and Aakash Bhatia, the director. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Akash, first question for you. कैसे लपेटे में लिया तापसी और ताहिर को to do the film?
तापसी ने मुझे लपेटे में लिया.
मैंने आकाश को लपेटा है. Actually, to give the due credit, producers actually found him and they shared his work with me and they were like, what if this guy directs it? And I saw his work and I was like, I think this is exactly the kind of new age-ness that we want in the film. That might be like a big eureka moment if we get him. So and we are glad that he said yes, because कई बारी होता है ना, you have a certain vision of starting your direction in films, the kind of film that you want to direct as your first film with, right? So every director comes with like, he's a pretty successful name in ad world, but there might be a certain way he would want to start with his film journey. So we are glad that he was okay to do this. That's why it looks new, because it was in the hands of someone who has a very new style compared to what you would have seen.
Akash, you agree? Taapsee ne lapete mein liya.
I mean, I'm just glad that I got in at the right time to do this film. Yeah, and honestly, like just to get to work with actors of their caliber and just genuinely nice people. Yeah, there are definitely actors who are great, but I'm not sure if everybody is nice to be around. But these two were really, I was very happy to be around them and all the other actors and characters in the film. So yeah, exciting.
And Tahir, you agree? दोनों के points से?
Yeah, I agree. Everyone's being so nice to each other. Yeah.
I was coming to that, because in the film,
no heads were broken.
No heads were
broken in this.
No actors were harmed during the filming of this film.
But directing it to you, your characters, Satya, Tahir, what is this villainous हंसी of yours? यार लोगों की हंसी उनको लड़कियां स्कोर कराती हैं, लोगों की हंसी उनको डेट पे लेके जाती है. Your हंसी is landing everyone in trouble. What is this? Can you show that smile? That $1 million smile,
I think that was the joy of playing this character. It's just like by a smile, you know what he's thinking, and the fact that whether he's feeling like gambling or he's feeling like messing with you. And I love that introduction of like, this is his gambler smile, this is his this thing smile. It was also important for me to have that smile different from what I do in life. क्योंकि नहीं तो फिर मैं जिंदगी भर फिर जो भी smile करता फिर वो सत्या की ही smile हो जाती. But I love the way the character is written, and it's so different from anything I've done before.
That's what I wanted to ask. वो smile का inspiration कौन था? आकाश या कुछ और या कोई और template? Where you figured out that smile?
इन सारे characters का inspiration आकाश भाटिया थे, क्योंकि ये सब उन्हीं में से निकले हैं एक ना एक तरीके से.
Akash, can you show us the smile, please? एक बारी.
Akash, show us the Satya smile.
Satya smile.
Yeah, the Satya smile.
This is my version of the Satya smile.
Yeah.
Taapsee, did you give any inputs? Because the smile part is like, I loved it. That was the best intro. अभी gambling.
Yeah, I know. I loved giving my voiceover in this film because when you give a voiceover, it kind of sets the tone of the character that you are narrating about or the world this film is going to be. स्क्रिप्ट में सबसे पहले मैंने वही सुना था या पढ़ा था एंड दैट वाज जस्ट सो अमेजिंगली रिटन टू कन्वे द वर्ल्ड एंड कैरेक्टर्स दैट आई वाज लाइक कि ये पता चल जाता है उतने में कि मजा आने वाला है एंड बाकी तो ये आपस में स्माइल डिसाइड कर ले मेरा काम है प्रॉब्लम में फंसना और उससे फिर निकलना.
But credit also to the writers to come up with the Ketan and come up with that sort of distinct sort of a thing to set up a character, you know. I mean, amazing, and I think Tahir Raj Bhasin has really owned the smile spectrum of human beings.
Smile.
Tahir, next are the Pepsodent ads, huh? Smile.
Yeah.
That's a good plug-in.
Yeah, plug in. Yeah.
Not for me. But coming back to both of you, you people open the film giving it like the due credits, like inspired from Run Lola Run, almost a 25-year-old film, lovely that German film is. But because I've watched it, I'm not going to give spoilers. How you decided, Aakash, to break it differently? It is different, that I know, because I've seen the original one, I have seen yours. And there are distinctive differences as well. But was it made just to suit the Indian sensibilities, or that's how the organic way you wanted to play the Looop Lapeta version of it?
See, I think from the onset, everybody was very certain that we are not making, we are not remaking Run Lola Run.
Remake, exactly.
Yeah, we are taking the base concept of a brilliant film, and we have to make an Indian film that's inspired by it, that's an homage to the concept, but make it in an Indian way. And when you make an Indian way, still keep the sort of international treatment for it. And I'm using the term international very loosely here. Something that's kinetic, something that's very heavy on being present, you know. So that was an important thing for all of them, all of the people all the stakeholders, all the co-creators that we got on board. As for the Indianness that you are speaking of, there's no way that one can make a film that is talking to the audience by alienating them, you know. It's an unreal sort of like a setting. It's an unreal sort of, it's a meta setting, so to speak, right? And in that,
exactly,
people are going through authentic experiences in that. When a person talks to a person, they're talking to another person, not a humanoid. So you have to make it real for the people who are going to watch it. And so it wasn't really an organic thing, because I think it was just destined to be made for an Indian sort of an audience. And Taapsee has answered this very well in some of the other interviews, that the fact that the original had that concept, and she has always felt that, you know, that concept could definitely be in the Indian milieu, so to speak, you know, and we were very conscious of that. Not a remake, an Indian film that has an original sort of tone of voice.
I think you've seen the film, so you will understand why we are saying that strong Indian connect, and that was the wow moment for me in the narration, when I was like, oh, I mean, this makes it just meant for Indians, yeah, for us to watch. I mean, we have so beautifully linked the concept with the two characters, their names, and how we've played with it. So it just it feels like suddenly it was always made for Indian audience.
And the Taapsee, whenever we talk about, I know the word is done to death and you don't appreciate the word, but whenever we talk about unconventional roles, something we have to do out of box, your name just comes with it. It just goes synonymous. It's like Taapsee Pannu is like doing the part. It's going to work. But
yeah, going to work. If you always associate that with worth your time and effort, that is the best possible compliment I can ever get.
But my question to you was, if in a real life setting, you really got those 50 minutes to do the drill without giving anything away, would you have been able to achieve it?
मेरा तो वो बॉम्ब टिकिंग सोच के ही दिमाग में I would have had a mental breakdown कि 50 मिनट में नहीं पहुंचे तो कोई मर जाएगा. मतलब that is it. I would have had a nervous breakdown. मैं बाथरूम से ही बाहर नहीं निकलती, मुझे लगता है.
But I can bet you Savi would have still be very optimistic, ना? कि मैं करूँगी. सत्या तो बहुत optimistic चल रहा था.
नहीं कर लूँगी क्या पता नहीं. At least सभी का है कि मुझे करना पड़ेगा. मतलब that's how she's seen it. I would have been like कि मेरे से बाथरूम से नहीं निकल. I would have been sitting on the cupboard only there, so not getting out.
But now if I move to you, Tahir, you understand the Kali Kali Aankhein Netflix boy, everyone is talking about you. you're just suddenly be all over the place. I mean, if I have to put you in this particular part, I mean, as Savi's father say in the film, ki, iske liye you're doing this, like this boy you are trying to put everything on risk. How did you feel about your character? Because I loved it. He just somewhere was too chilled out, yaar. Matlab, even your nervousness could not give away the fact that you are nervous. You were like,
That's what I mean. That's what I loved about him. Honestly, everything that you've just said is that he breaks the stereotype of a Bollywood quintessential romantic hero. He's flawed. Like, he thinks he's perfect, but he's not, and he tries to be romantic, but he can't perfectly do that either. Everything that he's doing is for love, for the love of his life. But in doing that, he makes the biggest mistakes, and even in rectifying those mistakes, he reaches out to the girl who he loves. He's such a character of contrast. I had this quote written on my wall when I was prepping for the film to say, "Part-time lover, full-time jholer," and that really is what Satya was. And what's interesting is this guy who thinks that he can take on the world अपने प्यार के लिए, पर जब वो pressure पड़ता है तो किस तरह he breaks, and his mannerisms and how everything changes around him for that is, I think, what made him very entertaining on paper, and I really hope that it translates on screen as well.
for the three of you, while we're talking about Savi and Satya and Akash, this prominently, I'll start with you. Goa is a character for me in the film. The color palette, the look of it is, it's a trippy, if it's the word, it's a trippy trip. That was my way to describe it when I watched it with, I luckily managed to watch it with my friends, and it's a trippy trip. It's like on and on and on and on. Again, I'm asking, like, what was the thought process behind it? Because I love the colors, the neons popping out, then you have those browns shining through. What was it? That was a different Goa from the blues and reds we see in Goa always.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a function of it. It all resonates from the film, the story you're trying to tell. It's an exercise in world building, like it's not a real film that's giving you a real authentic experience. People are going through authentic experience, but it's all packaged inside a film. So that allowed us to treat it like a graphic novel, that allowed us to treat it like a comic book. And funnily enough, we never said that the film is set in Goa. In fact, we tried to sort of subvert that as much as we could, because it is a version of Goa. It is our version. Yeah. Our story exists in that, our version of Goa, It borrows a lot from it, but there's not a single bloody shot of anybody running on a beach, So like, you think Goa, you think that. We didn't think of like, and as for the colors and the paletting, it was very important to create that, again, the visual texture of the film was heavily dependent on just the way we chose colors, whether it's Savi's green with Satya's orange, the brown in the father's place, and even the brothers. So everything was sort of detailed, keeping in mind this world building exercise.
Taapsee, honestly, when Looop Lapeta's first look came out, the very first thought was, what can she not do? Like, all the tick marks of athlete fields you have already ticked down. So I was actually in the assumption that Taapsee is going to run through marathon in this film, another sprinter kind of role, which you did, but for all the reasons, like for all the reasons in love, which one should or should not.
But, I know.
But for you, how Savi stands different, because I like Savi for the fact that usko bhi pata boyfriend jholer hai, but tab bhi karna hai.
Exactly, and that I think that is one reason why I don't really identify with Savi at personal level, because I would have been like, hey, ja bhai mar. Tu deserve hi karta hai marna. I would have done that long back, actually, not waited till that moment, because he's been constantly trying to like do things that she's probably not okay with in her life. But anyway, so that is one thing that I don't really relate to. But yet, if you see Savi's life, he's the only silver lining. After having an abrupt end to her career as an athlete, after living that kind of a disciplined life which didn't let her live, and where she had probably that strict athletic schedule to follow, and suddenly she's got controls of her life in her own hand after a really long time, and now she wants to just go crazy, do everything that is out of discipline. And this man is the epitome of being out of discipline. So I think how he rubs onto her, and how he brings that the joy of living right now, like the line that he says in the film, अगर तेरी लॉटरी लगने वाली हो और तू मर जाए तो मतलब तू सैड हो जाएगा ना, तो वो that I think that one spark of hope, positivity that he brings in her life makes her feel like it's worth running and saving this one. And probably that's what that in the process she realizes to what extent she can go for this man, who she kept abusing and calling out for the longest time, but yet wants to come back home to.
Yeah.
And Tahir and Aakash, out of all the loops, there have been a couple of loops in the film. Which version was your favorite, if I have to ask? I had my favorite version also. But though whatever the end is not giving it away, what was your favorite loop version of it?
The entire film is a loop. You know? But for me, I think creating, taking Savi into the realm of being a character you rooting for, but at a point where you dislike her a little bit as well, you know, where she becomes the least progressive person in a room for some moments, you know, creating that character where you're still rooting for her, but you're not enjoying liking her anymore. And that, as an audience, if I can make people feel, is probably in one of the loops that is there, you know, which one I'm talking about. So that becomes like, it's a very interesting loop for me to direct and watch, because I've created something, then I have to break it, and then I have to recreate it. So the middle one tends to sort of become like a favorite.
Tahir, what's your favorite loop?
Mine would have to be the third one, for very obvious reasons if you've seen it. But
Yes.
I wouldn't want to give out a spoiler. To find out more, watch Netflix on the 4th of February. But just to loop back to one of the earlier points you made about the color palette, I think like if there is a freshness and a newness to this film, complete credit goes to the technical team. It is because it is a first feature for a lot of people on board, starting with Aakash, Yash Khanna, the DOP, the art department as well, Akash. The set design, the editors, the entire technical HODs were making their first film, and I think it was like that enthusiasm almost of like a college film crew that came on board. And more power to Sony and to Ellipsis for trusting all of us with it.
I think it comes on the screen because as a normal audience, it was evident to me when I switched on the film, and the very first film, like, this is not the film I thought it would be. It started with the film going to graphic novel, then there are colors, then there are loops and loops and loops. So Taapsee, if I have to end it, you give me your favorite loop.
I think इन दोनों ने एक choose कर लिया, तो मैं तीसरा वाला मैं choose कर लेती हूँ. The first one only, like, because that's the first time you see what all is going to happen with her. So I guess वो पहला to be the first one to, I mean, the first loop where you see कि कौन आने वाला है अब दोबारा वो मेरा favorite हो जाएगा.
But just before we close this one, Aakash, Tahir, Taapsee, I genuinely feel, and this comes in a very good way, that this is a kind of film which is a very streaming platform film in a manner. This is so much crazy fun. It actually helped me because I could pause and I could actually go back and check कि पहले भी हुआ था कि नहीं हुआ था, or I am the one who's tripping on it. So kudos to you guys for that one, and I think this is probably the most smartest thing you guys have done. It really helped me at least to understand, because by the time second loop started, I was like, I think I'm watching the film wrong. I really need to go back and check it. But thank you for the trippy ride. I can't wait for the audience to watch. Thank you, Taapsee, because with you, as I've said in the starting, अब मेरे को उसा पता है कि different ही होगा.
Nice. I'm glad I have a loyal audience now.
Tahir, I'm telling you, this Kali Kali Aange factor of yours is going to go for a long time. You are the new bloomy black-eyed boy. I'm going to put it in for Netflix.
Thank you.
And thank you, Akash. Thank you, because as I said, let the audience go with the loop. This was real fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.